addition to anti-bullying, we're talking about, okay, well, in education, um, what are the other factors that affect anti-bullying, and how can that, when you start a bullying situation, how can it end up in such a traumatic way, and students lashing out versus actually seeking out help, and how we have all of these resources within the K through 12 level, but we're still having so many children or students who are suppressing their feelings about being bullied. And then also, the lunchroom area has always been a touch point for bullying situation. I know that um, students, we had cliques. um, I guess you had, your the typical, if you're going to use stereotypes, your typical groups, right? You had your band group, your show choir group, your football athletic group, right? And then you had all the ones who were going to art class together, or all the ones who were taking AP classes together. But at what point um, does it result in a child being bullied, or what spawns that? Is it something that's going on at home that kind of just spews over? Okay, well, they're being bullied at home, so then they come to school and in turn bully other children, or are they bullying other children just because they feel insecure, inadequate in some type of way? And I talked a little bit about also, in school. I think there are different types of bullies. People who are predators in a way of children, sometimes bully children, and then children are also bullied by adults. Sometimes in a way that I think is more aggressive than it should be, or more aggressive than I've seen coming up when I was in school. I never saw, there was always still a mutual respect for the most part. There were always going to be people who are going to be kind of out of line and not doing what they're supposed to. But for the most part, there was a respect of the adult for the child, and there was a respect to the adult. And so if the child is being bullied at school, or if the child is being bullied on the playground or on the school bus, or being bullied for just being a new kid at school. And I know that sometimes students are bullied because of they don't necessarily what people think call fit in to a particular box. Some students I've heard have been bullied before being mixed race. So, you have a number of things, and we're talking about, when we talk about mixed race and people who are not of the same class, and maybe being bullied for that, or not being bullied for, having a particular type of shoes or a particular outfit, or if something is going on at school, their parents maybe don't have the funds to spend the extra to have them in the latest gear as far as their outfit or their shoes are concerned. Then sometimes students just out of just being insensitive to the fact that diversity does exist, but it has nothing to do with your character or your worth. If a particular kid does not have a certain outfit, or doesn't wear their hair a certain type of way, and I think one of the when I think about clothing, and they don't do this and they don't do that, is social media playing a part in the bullying phase? Or now everyone is watching shows on cable television, which is something also that's more prevalent. You have these shows where these high school kids, or even the preteens, have these extravagant lifestyles, and they are trying to emulate that in their own lives, and their parents are trying to keep up with the status quo, right? And so you have a preteen or a 16-year-old having a sweet 16 party. And I'm not saying that if you have the funds and you want to do that for your child, that's something that you shouldn't do. But what I'm saying is that a source of, oh, well, look at what I can do, but you can't do this. I'm having this sweet 16 party and everything is 14 karat, seemingly 14 karat gold look. And I am purchasing this prom dress, and it's $600, and I can't afford to get a prom dress. I have to go to, borrow someone's prom dress, which I did. My junior year, I borrowed a prom dress, and I was not ashamed. A friend of mine actually had a prom dress. I thought it was beautiful. She wore it in something else. I asked her, hey, I think we're about the same size. Can I borrow that dress? And it was no big deal. But I'm pretty sure that would not have gone over, and I probably would have gotten bullied in this day and age if I had worn the same dress as someone else. And so we have all of these petty things that really don't really matter seeping up into our children's lives in a big way and in a major way. So I know we're starting with character education, and we're trying to correct that. I know we're working with parents, and we're trying to educate them. And I know that the world is saying, okay, well, we all need to be mindful of the things that we do and mindful of the things that we say and try to be compassionate for others. But with all of this going on in the world, think about it. We have all of these things going on in the world. We have people who are in a more enlightened state, right? And we have all these people doing all of these initiatives. We have these anti-bullying campaigns. We have parents who are advocating for this. We have parents who are advocating for homeschooling or online schooling or self-directed schooling or private school, charter schools. And we have all of these things that we consider major things and major changes to be an instrumental part in the lives of our children who are experiencing bullying or bullying situations, or not being able to fit into what society deems as cool. But still, we have high suicide rates because kids are being bullied. We have high suicide rates because people feel like they're not being accepted. So I think that we as a society have a bigger thing to kind of tap into. I think we all need full of how we treat others, not only how the students are treating each other from day to day, but how are we as adults treating each other, because the children are watching us. So are we perpetuating a bullying situation by not being accepting of each other, by not being accepting of another family who may not have the things that we have? Are we working during the holidays, and instead of, doing the things that we normally do, going through the motions of the holiday, going through the motions of buying things that we don't necessarily need? Are we showing compassion to other people? Are we reaching out to someone in need? Because it really starts with us at home. And so when I say us, I mean all of us. All of us in society have a role to play in this anti-bullying situation, because it stems from home, and it also stems from me being in the drive-thru and being treated in a certain way, or me being in a work environment and maybe being someone trying to intimidate someone by being overly aggressive, and students watching that situation, and how are they going to respond? How do you respond to that person who's mistreating you? How do you respond to the person who is trying to cut you off? So when I say we all as a society have a responsibility. And it's something to think about. I'm not saying I have all the answers, but I do want to listen, hear from our listeners. I do not have all the answers. This is a show about education. This is the New Heights Educational Group, and what we want to do is we just want to open up the conversation. And so we can see that we're saying that we're doing all these things for our kids, but our kids are the ones who are hurting, and they are the ones that are our future, and they are the ones that are going to be the future of education. So with that said, I want to say that I have enjoyed my time with you all tonight, and I hope that you join me next week. Next week we'll be talking about school safety, and remember that my show airs on Tuesday nights at 6 o'clock p.m. Central Standard Time, 7 o'clock p.m. Eastern Standard Time, and Erica Henson's show airs on Thursdays at 2 o'clock p.m. Mountain Standard Time, 1 o'clock p.m. Pacific Standard Time, and 4 o'clock p.m. Eastern Standard Time. I'm your host, Buffie Williams.
Thank you for listening to this week's episode of the New Heights Show on Education. This show was written and expressed by Buffie Williams. Audio and mixing was produced by Jamal Banks. Thank you for listening. Good night. Until we meet again on the New Heights Show on Education.
We hope you enjoyed today's show. Don't forget to rate us and follow us on your podcast player. Check out our show page, radio.newheightseducation.org, for monthly announcements and other happenings.